Hey, hello all and welcome to this video. And so here we are going to start off with the Remix IDE. And as I told you, when you want to work with Ethereum blockchain, the first starting point would usually be Remix IDE because it's an online IDE and you don't have to install anything. And it's very easy to use. So that's what we are going to do now. So let's get on with the video, right? Okay. Okay, so to start with, we will go to the Remix IDE. So you can just search for Remix IDE, and here it is, remix.ethereum.org. I'm going to open that IDE, and it opens up in here. Fantastic, there it is. As you can see here, this is a almost complete IDE with all the general features that you want from an IDE that you expect. Okay, and you can start developing. You don't have to install anything on your system. Okay, that's the beauty of it. So here it is. Here is the navigation on the left side, and here is your file explorer. So you can see this is the file explorer open, which shows you the structure of the default workspace that it has already created. And here this is the home page, which shows the featured stuff of IDE, followed by start coding, open file, access file system, load from this, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you can spend some time and learn it. It's extremely easy. At the bottom is the console window, output window, or the debug window where all the output will come. Okay, so here in the workspace you will see that there is a folder called contracts. Okay, if I open it up, there are some sample contracts like storage, owner, wallets. If you want, you can go through it. Otherwise also these are described in the official docs as well. Okay, we want to create a new contract. So first off, under the contracts, we will create our new file, and let's call this as first contract.sol. Sol is the extension for Solidity files. Okay, so there it is. Now if you see, if I type something in the code, the font is pretty small. So what you can do is, here you can see there is a zoom out and zoom in button. So you can just click on this a couple of times so that the font becomes readable. That's one thing. Now every Solidity file should start with two things. One is the license information and the compiler that you want to use, which version of the compiler that you want to use for Solidity. Okay, and so what I will do is I'll just take this storage sol and just copy these lines and just paste it over here. So SPDX license identifier. In the older versions like 0.4 and all, this was not needed, but now it has become mandatory. So you have to give a comment that says SPDX license identifier, and here you can give any license that you want to use. Okay, and you can actually check for the different SPDX license files as well. What are the different licenses available? You can even have it as unlicensed. Okay, followed by Pragma Solidity. This is a Pragma directive which tells you which version of the compiler that you want to use. Here we are saying, hey, any compiler version that is greater than or equal to 0.8.2 but less than 0.9.0. Now, if you see the Solidity workspace that has been created by the Remix IDE, if you see on the left, here is the search in files, then you have Solidity compiler, deploy and run transactions, debugger, and learn it. Okay. So if you see here, the third icon that says Solidity compiler. So it has a built, it is already configured with Solidity compiler version 0.8.24. Okay. So you can actually say that instead of a range of values, I can also fix it something to be 0.8.24. Okay, that also is possible. So let's do that. I'll just show you how we do that. And in fact, what I'm doing is a little more than that, 0.8.2. So I'm using a caret symbol, which means that any version which is compatible with 0.8.24. This is what it means. Okay. Of course, I can remove this also and it will still work. Don't worry about that. So once we have created our Solidity contract, then what we need to do is we just compile this here, okay, on the left side. So first let's write the code, and I'm going to keep it very simple. Okay, don't need to get into the details of the language right now, because in the upcoming videos you will find all the information that you need, and we will do a deep dive into the language features. So we write the contract. So contract starts with the contract keyword, contract, and then the name of the contract. So I'm going to call it as first contract. So this is like a class, okay, in C++ or Java or C#, okay, where you put in the rest of the code, which includes the variables as well as the function. So I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to write a simple function that returns welcome to Ethereum. So how do you do that? So to write a function, you have to start it with the function keyword. So I'm going to use the function keyword followed by the name of the function. Let's say welcome, and it does not take in any argument, so I'll just keep it empty. The parentheses are empty. Now I have to tell what is the visibility, okay, the access level. So it is public function because I want to use it from outside the contract, followed by another keyword called pure. A pure function, don't worry about this. This is simply a function which is not making changes to the contract. It is simply returning a hard-coded string. So that's why it's called as a pure function. By definition, a pure function is something that does not change the state of the contract or does not modify the contract in any manner. And this function does not. Okay, it simply returns a hard-coded string. So that's why it's a pure function. Followed by, you have to mention what type of return it is, what type of return it is going to return. So we use the returns keyword followed by, and what I'm going to return is a string, and I have to add this keyword memory also. I'll explain that in the upcoming videos. Don't worry about that. It's actually pretty simple. Okay, and then what we do, we just return welcome to Ethereum. See how simple it is. Isn't it very similar to what you would have learned in C++ or Java also? Even if you don't know that, you can now understand that it's actually pretty simple. That's it. We are done. So our contract is done. This has got a welcome function. When you call that welcome function, it will return a string welcome to Ethereum. So once the contract is created, all we need to do is compile it. So when you compile the contract, it turns into what is called as bytecode. This is similar to the Java way of doing stuff. So you take a class, you compile it in Java, okay, and then it becomes bytecode. Bytecode runs on top of Java virtual machine. Here it is, you have a contract, you compile it, becomes bytecode, but this bytecode runs on Ethereum virtual machine. That's the only difference. Okay. So first we need to compile it. So let's compile this. If there are no errors, everything is fine. Contract is there. Okay. So the compilation has been successful. Now what we need to do is we need to deploy it onto a blockchain. Then only we can run it. Okay. So to do that, here we have the next option on the left side, deploy and run transactions. So if I click on this, okay. Remix VM Shanghai is already selected. So if you open this up environment, you'll see so many options in there, right? So if you see here, all these are test networks wherein you don't have to spend any money, okay, and so you can run your code free of cost over there. Okay, so these are called as test nets. These are meant for testing your contract before you put it into the something called as mainnet. Mainnet is where you have to spend money to actually deploy it into production, right? Now if you see the account, so the Remix ID gives you with 15 accounts, okay, with 100 faith ether each, so that even on the test network when you're deploying, you have to spend some fee, okay, and that is in the form of the ether, right? So don't worry about this. We'll get into this in greater detail. So these are the accounts. You can select whichever account you want and then deploy this, okay, and we'll talk about the gas limit value and so on and so forth later. Okay, this is the contract, and now if you see, the environment is Remix VM Shanghai, and if I click on deploy, so as you can see here at the bottom, this is the output, what to say, the tab where all the debug output comes in. So if I click on deploy, there you see the tick mark there. It means that it was deployed successfully. The moment it is deployed successfully, at the bottom you can see the contract there, right? So these are all the deployed contracts, and if you want, you can delete them in case if you need to do so. We will be doing that later on. And then you can see first contract has been deployed, and it shows you some address. This is the address at which the contract has been deployed on the test network. Okay, so if I drop down this, I can see balance 0 ether, and then welcome. This is the function. See there, this is the welcome function. So all the functions which are callable, okay, they will all be listed out here. Okay, so now let's run this and see. We should get welcome to Ethereum. So if I click on this welcome, there you see welcome to Ethereum. Okay, that means our contract is up and it is running, right? As you can see here, it is actually very simple to use the Remix IDE. That's all there is to it. Okay, now in the next video we will go a little deeper, write a little more complicated contract. That means I'll have a couple of more functions in there, and then we will test this out. See how easy it is to use Remix. That's it. So from now on we will be using Remix as our development environment, and later on we will shift over to Visual Studio Code based development environment when we do the hard hat dApp development. Okay, so see you there. So see you in the next video. Bye bye.